What is up, trail goblins? Today we are talking about ultra trail training plans, how you can write your own, or if you want to follow one of mine that I've made. But before I get into that, did you know that 90% of you aren't subscribed? Hit that subscribe button or I'm gonna flag all of your segment trophies on Strava. You're gonna be really sad, aren't you? Subscribe already! Just kidding, please subscribe, thank you. Now I've done a lot of videos about ultra trail training plans. It's why I almost have the 2,000 subscribers that I have now. By the way, thank you so much, that is freaking incredible. But now let's talk about how you can create your own ultra trail training plan. One that'll fit around your race that you've signed up for, your life, your job, whatever else you have going on in your life, and how you can be successful at any distance that you're training for. Training plan duration. Now, I personally prefer a 16-week training block. Some people like an 8-week training plan, some people like a 20-week training plan. I like a 16-week training plan. 16 weeks is long enough that you'll be able to get in an aerobic base phase of your training plan, which is just building up your aerobic base and getting you ready for those bigger weeks that are going to be towards the end of your training plan. And then lastly, your taper phase at the very end of your training plan. But like I said at the beginning of the video, this is for you guys, so just choose however many weeks works for you, however many weeks you have until your race, you can create a training plan around that. Heart rate zones. Let's talk about heart rate zones. Now you're gonna wanna spend most of your training period in zones 1 and 2, with just a little bit of zones 3 and 4 sprinkled in there. In marathon training, they call this the 80-20 rule. However, in ultra training, it's more like the 90-10 rule, where you're gonna be doing 90% of your buildup in that zone 1 and 2, and then just 10% in that zone 3 and 4. This is because during marathons, you will be pushing up into that zones 3 and 4, but during ultras, you won't want to do this. The more comfortable you can get running long distances in that zone 2, the better you are going to do in your ultra racing. Speed days. You're gonna want at least one speed day per week, even during ultra training. Even ultra runners need a little bit of pep in their step, and these speed days are what is going to give you that. I like my speed days right in the middle of the week on Wednesday, so I have enough time to build up to them and then recover from them after I'm done. Some of my go-to speed workouts are interval training, so these are going to be done in zones 3 or 4, depending on where you are in your training plan. So for these, you're going to want to do 10 minutes in zones 3 or 4, then take a couple minute rest, and then do it again up to 6 times. I also do hill strides 2 to 3 times a week just at the end of my runs. So for these, you're gonna do 6 to 10 30-second hill strides on a 10% grade. And you're gonna wanna do these hill strides in upper zone 4. So strides are meant mostly just to boost running economy, which means that you're gonna have a better stride. But doing them on hills gives you an extra little hill workout 3 times a week. Another speed workout that you could choose to do is Killian's hill bounding, so I did a video about that I'll link right there. You could also choose to do a tempo speed workout, which is just running in zone 3 to low zone 4 for up to an hour. But yeah, you could do these speed workouts either on the road or on the trails, depending on what you want to do. But remember, just do one speed workout per week and then add in those strides 2 to 3 times a week, and you'll be feeling great come race day. Long runs. These are my favorite days of the week. At the beginning of your training plan, you're just going to be doing one long run per week, which is 40% of your weekly mileage and vert. Then later in your training plan, you can do back-to-back long runs, which is up to 80% of your weekly mileage and vert. So for me, these back-to-back long runs are mostly confidence boosting, So that'll make me feel like I am ready to race a longer distance that I've never done before, or do a race that I am not sure that I'm able to finish. During your long runs, you're also going to want to be pushing on downhills. So on normal training days, you can just kind of float the downhills, not worry too much about getting speed. But during your long runs, you're going to want to push those downhills and simulate training for your race. Weekly mileage. So weekly mileage is really just going to depend on how injury prone you are, how much time you have to train, and if you're looking to just finish your race or perform well at your race. For my UTMB build, I got up to a 122-mile week with 32,000 feet of vert. And yes, that was probably unnecessary if I just wanted to finish the race, but I did want to go into this race with confidence that I would be able to finish. So after I finished this training week, I knew that I had UTMB in the bag. So you're going to want to start with low volume training at the beginning of your plan, then slowly build up mileage week after week. And make sure that you don't stack up more than 2 weeks of high mileage training unless you're at the very peak of your training block, where you can do up to 3 weeks of high mileage training. So you're gonna wanna take recovery weeks, probably after every 2 high mileage weeks. So it'll be high mileage, recovery week. And for those recovery weeks, you're gonna be doing about 50 to 60% of your mileage that you just did the week before in that high mileage week. Then you're gonna put your highest mileage weeks 4 to 5 weeks out from your race. And then after that, you can do a recovery week and then start tapering that last 2 to 3 weeks before your race. Vert. Most trail races are going to have vertical gains and losses during your race, and you will have to train for those. So depending on the type of training I'm doing that week, I'm doing anywhere from 20% of my race's vertical gain to 100 to 110% of my race's vertical gain. That means that if you're doing a race that has 10,000 feet of vert, you're going to want to do at least 2,000 feet of vert on your easiest weeks, so that's 20%. And then for your hardest weeks, you could do up to 100% of your race's vert spread out across that week, with most of it done on your long runs or back-to-back long runs. Specificity. This means that you're going to want to train at least a couple times on terrain that mimics your race's terrain. This could mean taking a trip out to your race location and doing a few long runs on the course, or finding a trail near you that mimics the terrain of your race and the vertical gain and losses of your race. For me, I usually do 3 runs per week on the roads and then 3 runs per week on my steep trails that I have here in Nice. B races. Here I go, getting on my soapbox again. I don't do B races, which are also known as preparation races or practice races. Doing a race leading up to my goal race makes me feel fatigued and more injury prone and just not really in the right mental space to give that goal race everything I have. If you do want to do a B race before your goal race, make sure to do it at least 8 weeks before your goal race. Make sure that this race is less elevation than your goal race and that you take it super easy so that you're just getting that aerobic stimulus and not pushing your body to the point of breaking. I personally think that every race should just have its own build-up period and recovery period after the race. And then after that build-up, race, recovery period, then you can start training for your goal race for the year. Strength training. Now, I try to do strength training 2 to 3 times a week, but to be honest with you guys, that usually doesn't happen. I know that I should be doing strength training, especially as I'm getting older. I'm in my 30s now, but who has the time or energy to be doing strength training after running? It's just hard to do. I do have a 5-minute ab workout that you can check out here. It'll just leave your abs feeling tight and your core strong. And I also have a strength section of my 100-mile advanced training plan, which I followed for this year's UTMB. However, I would say that during my 16-week training block for UTMB, I maybe did 15 strength workouts during that whole 16 weeks. So maybe 1 per week was all I was able to do. I wish that I would have done more, but I didn't. Something that I do plan on doing is that during the off season, I will be focusing on strength a little bit more. So come that training period, that 16-week training block leading up to my next race, I won't have to focus on it as much and just be doing little things to maintain my strength. But yeah, guys, that should cover everything for you guys to make your own personal ultra trail training plan. Like I said, I have got every training plan that you could possibly imagine. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced training plans for 50K, 100K, and 100-mile races. But if you do want to build your own training plan, if you want to do it specifically for the race that you're training for, these are the steps that you need to take. As always, let me know if you have any questions about building your own ultra trail training plan in the comments below, and I will answer them there. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe now to become an official trail goblin. We're gobbling up trails and hobbling up mountains. And guess what? Goblins feel less pain than humans do, so subscribe for those goblin benefits. Okay, bye.